Ezekiel 29, getting into the judgments on Egypt, Mitzrayim, by Yah. In the 10th year, in the 10th month of the 12th of the new moon, the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against the Pharaoh, the king of Mitzrayim, and prophesy against him and against Mitzrayim, all of it. Speak, and you shall say, Thus said the Master Yahuwah, See, I am against you, O Pharaoh, king of Egypt, Mitzrayim, O great monster who lies in the midst of his rivers, who has said, My river is my own, and I have made it for myself. So the Egyptians revered the river. They had lowercase g gods, false gods of the river. They elevated the river to God status, as well as Pharaoh, who was a man, to God status. And so Yah, being the creator, does not like it when we worship what has been created, nor does he like it when we elevate men to the status of God. And so this rebuke here, this judgment here, speak and you shall say, Thus said the Master Yahuwah, See, I am against you, O Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, O great monster who lies in the midst of his rivers, who has said, My river is my own, and I have made it for myself. Negative. And I shall put hooks in your jaws, and I shall make the fish of your rivers cling to your scales. And I shall bring you up out of the midst of your rivers, and all the fish in your rivers cling to your scales. I shall leave you in the wilderness, you and all the fish of your rivers. On the face of the field you shall fall. You shall not be picked up or gathered. I shall give you as food to the beasts of the field and to the birds of the heaven. More Revelation 19 imagery here. Or perhaps a better way to say that is Revelation 19 follows a theme that is built in the other prophets, if you will. These visions that they've had, these judgments that they've had. And all the inhabitants of Mitzrayim shall know that I am Yahuwah, because they have been a staff of reed to the house of Israel. Oh, you thought Pharaoh was God. You thought the river was God. Guess what's going to happen when God, who is God, shows up? When they have grasped you with the hand, you broke and tore all their shoulders. When they leaned on you, you broke and made all their loins shake. Therefore, thus said the Master Yahuwah, See, I am bringing a sword upon you, and shall cut off from you man and beast. And the land of Mitzrayim shall become a desert and a waste. A lot of agriculture happening in Egypt these days. It's hard to eat sand. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah, because he said, The river is mine, and I have made it. Hubris comes before the fall, doesn't it? Therefore, see, I am against you and against your rivers, and shall make the land of Mitzrayim an utter waste and a desert, from Migdol to Sevanah, as far as the border of Cush. No foot of man shall pass through it, nor foot of beast pass through it, neither shall it be inhabited for 40 years. And I shall make the land of Mitzrayim a desert in the midst of the lands that are a waste. And among the cities that are ruined, her cities shall be a waste 40 years, and I shall scatter the Mitzrites among the nations, and I shall disperse them throughout all the lands. For thus said the Master Yahuwah, At the end of 40 years I shall gather the Mitzrites from the people among whom they were scattered, and I shall turn back the captivity of Mitzrayim, and I shall bring them back to the land of Patros, to the land of their birth, and there they shall be a lowly reign, being the lowliest of reigns, and never again exalt itself above the nations. And I shall make them few, so as not to rule over the nations. And no longer is it to be a refuge of the house of Israel, bringing to remembrance their crookedness when they turn to follow them. And they shall know that I am the Master Yahuwah. So Pathros refers to, depending on which article on the internet you read, in a region of northern Egypt. And although I'm not generally a huge fan of Wikipedia, I was doing a little map recon this morning, and there's a really cool map on Wikipedia. If you just put in Pathros, Pathros, and this is the map, and I don't expect you to be able to see it, but you can see there's a key, a legend over here, and the red is Japheth, the sons of Japheth, and the yellow is the sons of Ham, and the blue is the sons of Shem. And then you also have the Ishmaelites up here across kind of the middle band of the Arabian Peninsula. Very, very interesting because it has all these biblical names and people groups in it. And if we look up here, Pathrusim, this is Pathros, the area of the Pathrusim. Here's the Sinai Peninsula up here. You have the Nile flowing through in Egypt here. Nubis. This is the area that they're talking about, which was not a foothold of, it was not renowned for its, shall we say, the quality of the land. But I did find this very interesting, because if we look at the sons of Japheth, all the way up into above the Black Sea today, Rifat is the area that World War III, the stage is being set for Ukraine right now, and into Western Russia. And then Gomer is the Crimean Peninsula. How interesting. And the Cimmerians, Cimmerans, from what we know as Crimea, that area. And so we can also see over here, you probably can't, but right there's Babel, aka Babylon. And over here on the coastline, that's the Promised Land. That's where the children of Israel are, where they're supposed to be. This land that's supposed to belong to Shem, the descendants of Shem. And so the Babylonians are basically moving due west as they come against Jerusalem. And then beyond there, the Persians would have to move due west as well, around the top of the Persian Gulf, through the area controlled by the Babylonians. And if you remember, last week we talked about Zor, the Phoenicians. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but right there, Zor, the Phoenicians, along this coastline right here, which should belong to Shem, but in this biblical map, doesn't, the descendants of Shem. In this area right here, see Canaan, there's the Promised Land, Zor. And then the Ishmaelites, the, Abraham's, Hagar, Ishmael, then Isaac, the son of the covenant, is born, etc., etc. It's a really cool map. I don't know if you're into maps. I am. Map recon, cool. So anyway, Pathros, it's this northern Egyptian region. And this is where Yahuwah is saying, hey, I'm going to send you back over there. Forget your big cities, forget all of your military prowess, forget your economic esteem. You're going to go back over there into the wilderness for 40 years. Why? Because of their transgression. Interesting. Verse 17, it came to be in the 27th year in the first month, on the first of the new moon, that the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, remember, Yehezkel is in exile with some of the remnant that has been exiled from Jerusalem. He still knows what day it is. Genesis 1, the moon and the sun and the stars are for signs and appointed times. He still knows what month it is, what day it is. That's interesting to me. If someone was to take away your cell phone After a week, would you know what day it was? Some of y'all, yes. A lot of us, no. And it came to be in the 27th year, in the first month, on the first of the new moon, that the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, made his army to serve a great service against Sor. That region I just showed you on the coast. Every head was made bald and every shoulder worn bare. But he and his army received no reward from Sor for the service he served against it. Therefore, thus said the Master Yahuwah, See, I am giving the land of Mitzrayim to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel. And he shall take away her wealth, take her spoil, and remove her pillage, and it shall be a reward for his army. I have given him the land of Mitzrayim as a reward for his labor, because they worked for me, declares the Master Yahuwah. In that day I shall make the horn of Israel to spring forth, the power of Israel to spring forth, while I open your mouth to speak in the midst, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. So Nebuchadnezzar is wreaking havoc on behalf of Yahuwah to bring judgment upon the enemies of Israel. That's an interesting concept. I've said before on camera, and I'll say it again, vengeance is mine, so saith Yahuwah. But he's been known to use a subcontractor every now and then. And in this case, Nebuchadnezzar. Let's do 30 as well, since we're here. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus said the Master Yahuwah, Howl, woe to the day, for the day is near, even the day of Yahuwah is near. It is the day of clouds, the time of the nations. The sword shall come upon Mitzrayim, and great anguish shall be in Cush, when the slain fall in Mitzrayim, and they take away her wealth, and her foundations are broken down. Cush and Put and Lud, all the mixed people, and Kub, and the sons of the land of the covenant shall fall with them by the sword. Thus said Yahuwah, Those who lean on Mitzrayim shall fall, and the pride of her power shall come down. From Migdal to Savaneh, those within her shall fall by the sword, declares the Master Yahuwah. They shall be ruined amidst the wastelands, and her cities shall be in the midst of the cities that are dried up. Come out of her, my people, lest you partake of her sins and receive in her plagues. Revelation 12, verse 4, I believe. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah when I have set a fire in Mitzrayim, and all her helpers are crushed. On that day messengers shall go forth before me in ships to make the complacent Cushites afraid, and great anguish shall come upon them, as on the day of Mitzrayim, for look, it is coming. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, I shall cause the crowd of Mitzrayim to cease by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel. He and his people with him, the ruthless ones of the nations, are brought to destroy the land. And they shall draw their swords against Mitzrayim, and shall fill the land with the slain. And I shall make the rivers dry, and I shall set the land into the hand of the evil ones, and I shall lay the land waste, and all that is in it, by the hand of foreigners. I, Yahuwah, have spoken. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, and I shall destroy the idols, and make an end of the images in Noph. Make no graven images. It's another one that, man, Christendom is just falling off the deep end with. One of the great schisms in the early church, which is where it's not the only reason, but it's a large part of the reason how you ended up with the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Western or Roman Catholic Church, was over the issue of iconography. Make no graven images. Yeah, but you built this cathedral and of hewed stone, which you're not allowed to build an altar to Yahuwah out of hewed stone. And you filled it with icons. And the Catholics will say, we don't revere the icons. The icons are a tool that we use to tap into reverence of Yah. And I can see that argument. I can understand that argument. But how many generations does it take before we're now revering the icons? Molded images, graven images made by the hand of man. As compared to what Eastern Orthodoxy would say is like no graven images at all. You see this in Islam as well. Like no graven images. The Ishmaelites, they're at the top of the Arabian Peninsula. They don't do that either. Because at some point you end up worshiping the thing that was made rather than who made it. Just like over here in 29, Pharaoh said, "The river is mine." Really? That's cute. Yah made the river. The river belongs to Yah, not to Pharaoh. Christendom has just fallen off the deep end with imagery and iconography. How many people, myself included before I knew better, have tattoos of a cross? Well, you're not supposed to tattoo your body. And you're not supposed to make graven images. And the cross is the Tau, the first letter in Tammuz. Tammuz. Do your research on that. Our Messiah was crucified on a stake. The Greek word is stauros. It means stake or pole. Cursed is he who hangs upon a tree. They did not crucify people with their arms out like this until at least 200 years after the time of Yeshua. It's a historical fact. They crucified them like this, with their hands above their head. We don't need to get into that now, but suffice to say that T, the Tau for Tammuz, is a holdover of pagan infection into early worship of Messiah. And it's everywhere. And this is not for me, it's not a deal breaker. My faith is not predicated on how Yeshua was crucified. It is in large part predicated on the fact that he was crucified as an atoning sacrifice for our sin, understanding what sin is. New Testament definition, 1 John 3 verse 4, sin is transgression of the law, and all who do sin do lawlessness. So he was crucified for your lawlessness, for my lawlessness. And shall we sin, shall we be lawless all the more so that grace may abound? Shaul of Tarsus. No, Yah forbid you continue in your sin. Well, what is sin? Sin is lawlessness. Yah forbid, once you're saved, that you continue in your lawlessness. Implied task. Know what the law is, so that you don't sin. Shaul of Tarsus. I knew not sin but by the law. I didn't know what was right and what was wrong without knowing what the law was. Another thing that modern Christianity, and when I say modern, at least in the last 1,000 years, so I guess it's reaching back into antiquity, has gotten away from is this adherence to the law. Although the founding fathers here in America, if you read the Founders' Bible, is a very good text for this, and if you read some of the early writings of these men and why the first groups of people from Europe, England, came over here, it was for religious freedom, to worship as they saw fit. Christmas was outlawed in the United States until about 100 years ago because it was known it was a pagan holiday. It's a thing. Oh, look at this rabbit hole we jumped into. Anyway, graven images. $30:10. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, I shall cause the crowd of Mitzrayim to cease by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel. He and his people with him, the ruthless ones of the nations, are brought to destroy the land. And they shall draw their swords against Mitzrayim and fill the land with the slain. And I shall make the rivers dry, and I shall sell the land into the hand of evil ones. And I shall lay the land waste and all that is in it by the hand of foreigners. I, Yahuwah, have spoken. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, and I shall destroy the idols and make an end of the images in Noph. And there shall no longer be a prince from the land of Mitzrayim, and I shall put fear in the land of Mitzrayim. And I shall make Pathros a waste, and I shall set fire to Soan, and I shall execute judgments in No. I shall pour out my wrath on Sin and the stronghold of Mitzrayim, and I shall cut off the crowd of No. And I shall set a fire in Mitzrayim. Sin shall writhe in anguish. No is to be split open, and Noph has adversaries daily. The young men in Avon and Pi Beset shall fall by the sword, while these cities go into captivity. And in Tahaphanes, the day shall be darkened, when I shatter the yokes of Mitzrayim there, and the pride of her strength shall cease in her, a cloud shall cover her, and her daughters shall go into captivity. And I shall execute judgments on Mitzrayim, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. And it came to be in the 11th year, in the first month, on the 7th of the new moon, that the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, I have broken the arm of Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, and see, it has not been bound up for healing, to put a bandage to bind it, to make it strong, to hold a sword. Therefore thus said the Master Yahuwah, See, I am against Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, and shall break his arms, both the strong one and the one that was broken, and shall make the sword fall out of his hand, and shall scatter the Mitzrites among the nations, and disperse them throughout the lands, and strengthen the arms of the king of Babel. And I shall put my sword in his hand, and I shall break Pharaoh's arms, and he shall groan before him with the groanings of the slain before him. And I shall strengthen the arms of the king of Babel, but the arms of Pharaoh shall fall. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah, when I put my sword into the hand of the king of Babel, and he shall stretch it out against the land of Mitzrayim. And I shall scatter the Mitzrites among the nations, and shall disperse them throughout the lands, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Now part of this, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah, is they, the people in these regions, and the people that Ezekiel is speaking to, are going to see these things happen. That the king of Babel is going to come. He just took out Sor along the coastline there. And now he's going to move southwest-ish through the Sinai Peninsula into Egypt. He's going to smoke check all those jokers too. And so when they see this happening, the destruction that is coming upon Mitzrayim, unfathomable. That's Egypt. That's Egypt. Pharaoh, the pyramids of Cheops, the Sphinx, the Nile River, the gold, the silver, the grain, the slaves. Can't take out Egypt. They're too big to fail. They're a world superpower. Yeah, until Nebuchadnezzar shows up. So that's in one way they will know that I am Yahuwah. The other, in my mind, is Ezekiel is prophesying these things, and it shall come to pass. And he is the man of Elohim. He is ordained at this point to speak the word of Yah. Which, by the way, look at the quality of existence that he has. This is not some Joel Osteen health, wealth, prosperity gospel bullshit that Ezekiel is living. No, his wife just died. He lives in exile. He's eating meager food, drinking a little bit of water, prophesying to these people. In the name of Yahuwah, this shall come to pass. And it does. And that is the second way that they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Because what he says will be done. His word will not return to him void. And if someone prophesies in the name of Yahuwah and it does not come to pass, this is Torah, you are not to fear. Hebrew connotation, deeply respect. You're not to respect that person. Simple as that. Do not take their words as gospel. You disregard that person at that point. It's one of the reasons I am very careful to say I think this is going to happen when we're talking about world events, preparedness and all these things. Not thus saith the Lord. Because you thus saith the Lord one time and you're wrong, you're done forever, homie. Simple as that. And praise Yah that we do have grace and mercy, because that is a rock pile offense to prophesy in the name of Yah and to not have it come true. It's taking the Lord's name in vain. Taking the Lord's name in vain doesn't mean don't say GD, although that's like nails on the chalkboard to me. What it means is don't put Yah's stamp of approval on your BS. There's a lot of that in today's world. We got 54,000 different denominations, y'all. Doesn't Shaul of Tarsus admonish us in the epistles? There is one Elohim. There is one Messiah. There is one good news. You were baptized into, you were brought into one family. And if anybody brings you a good news other than what we have brought you, that person is not of Yah. Takeaways here. Don't be Egypt. Do not elevate yourself to the status of God. You did not make the river. You are not the river. And just because you're a world superpower doesn't mean you can't be erased about that long. And again, we see the number 40 here, which is 40 is a number of transition in the Bible. Bless y'all. Shalom.